Welcome to July and welcome to ChuckChat. And we've got another interesting week with some interesting things in the news from a change and everybody kind of waking up that hey, the government can take these different ones away. There are cheaper ones that are coming from open source to robots and funding and other fun events. So well worth checking out. So in this particular week, we saw several different things advance, not everything advanced. The models and the capability pieces. We got some of the real frontier ones back with Fable. Apparently cut back a little bit, but we also have some Chinese models that are performing close to on par around agentic encoding type tasks. So that's pretty exciting. Workflows and not models. The a startup actually coming from the ground up, and some fascinating stories around some of those different pieces. Argentina continues to be an interesting in the news government's play in terms of AI and the ability for a AI to run a company, but now there's some legislation around having a human actually get in the loop or having to be in the loop. Safety, trust, and regulation with the models coming out and being released, there's still very high involvement from a government point of view, from a regulation point of view. We got some interesting news out of Europe as well. From the compute point of view, Meta is exploring selling or renting out some of their space, among other news. In the health and innovation, continued new things. A Claude research piece, so that's exciting. A new tool to be able to help with research, given some of the current stance and the blocks on how you can and can't use Fable. It'll be interesting to see how this goes with newer models and newer capabilities as well. Uh, from a human layer point of view, there's some interesting things being observed from an actual job market point of view, and then robo taxis and other fun. So jumping right into it, the model is not the moat that it once was, or having the best model is not the moat that it once was. People would move because they thought this was the best one, and that is not necessarily the case anymore. If it's restrictive, if it could be taken away, if you could do something cheaper, it's the aggregation of some of those things that are starting to actually bubble to the top now. And so we see Washington removing the velvet rope that they put up last time and said, nope, only certain companies can get access. That was the first wave of approval, 100. Now for some of the other models, they've released additional things so that even I can access Fable 5 again. Even you can access Fable 5 again, at least until tomorrow, and then you've got to pay for it separately and independently. So it'll be interesting to see how these moves continue to work and what those real restrictions actually are. It's been some time coming. It is a top-notch model in terms of capability, the ability to run for a very long time, doing things by itself. Without intervention, utilizing other things, utilizing other agents, utilizing other models to even to be able to do the different work when instructed properly. But continuing to watch this space, it's going to continue to be weird. The Because people are seeing and companies are seeing, and not just companies, but countries are seeing that, hey, governments can take a large role in whether I can get access to these things or whether I can't get access to these things. So we're starting to see more of a push for open source. This is certainly from a Chinese point of view and some of the close to the edge in terms of capabilities, close to the frontier. They're stepping up their marketing game, if you will, in terms of what it is that they can do and showing. And people are looking at, hey, can I fine tune these things? What can I control? What can I keep within my control? Which has been a long-standing technology thing. What do you do on-prem? Do you do cloud? What do you need to be able to meet the needs of your customers? And now this is yet another aspect of this as it's going through there. I think it's interesting because the overlay of who is racing towards super intelligence is still a bet. And if you can get to super intelligence first, the belief is okay, you can rule all. But having the data to be able to train to be able to get there is also equally important. And if people start to leave some of these frontier models because they want to do things locally, they're trying to optimize cost or they're trying to optimize accessibility for them, we're going to see some ramifications of that. Not maybe not immediately, but down the line for sure. We got Nvidia released a set of new models that are actually interesting. I've talked a couple of different times around diffusion models and using diffusion approaches to do similar sorts of things to what LLMs do. This is another one of those approaches, but it's particularly of note because it's Nvidia who is releasing it. They're releasing it with open weights, open model, and releasing a number of things around research to allow other people to be able to do it. It actually uses a multi-phase sort of a thing, so it actually has the ability to do the search in parallel. Rather than one token at a time, it does many tokens at a time, and then it actually runs through essentially an inference layer that then makes it smarter and coherent as a response. So some very interesting things coming out of that. I think this is just a proof point that we're going to continue to see algorithmic improvements in how things actually work and where they're going. So the innovation is not done. The reason why I included this one is this has been at play for a while. We've not solved from the beginning of the web. How do content creators get paid for their things? And AI has just put a gasoline fire on top of that in terms of can they train off of your data and then be able to just have that as an ongoing thing. And so companies like Cloudflare, they're not the only one, but are building things to be able to block crawlers from going through and pulling your content without having a proper licensing and payment agreement in place. So this has been coming for a while. They've been working on this since last year sometime, starting to go out and be live on multiple different sites now. Oh, governments. Oh, they are stepping up their game in a number of different ways here. So this one is interesting because there are near-term and long-term ramifications of this, but it's being reported that OpenAI has proposed giving the government a 5% stake in OpenAI. Now, that's interesting for a number of different reasons. From the, hey, if you're the referee and you're refereeing a game and you own part of that team, are you going to be 100% non-biased? I don't know. There's another report that says Anthropic has not discussed this, but it's also been proposed that all of them should give a 5% stake. That includes Google, it includes others as well. There's many ramifications to this if this actually happens. Other countries may ask for the same sort of thing. Well, why would we preference your model? You're owned partially by the US. And so what's that going to mean? Now, that's not outside the realm of previous roads that have been laid down, that a country owns part of that from a large scale technology thing. This is one that's just weird because the order is weird, and so I think this is going to continue to be you have Bernie Sanders who proposed weeks ago that hey, the government should just take 50% of the US based ones, and then that would be how we would fund all of the different things that we would actually need. Again, not the last that we will hear of these sorts of things. And I don't know where it will actually end up. I would not be surprised at all if the government did take a stake in certainly the US based labs, and we'll see where all that goes. Meanwhile, we also have the EU is stepping up. These findings and settlements or adjudications were set up several years ago. They've been going through round after round um, of refinement, round after round of legal proceedings, trying to. Google doesn't want to pay $4.1 billion. Go figure. But the findings were there. They reaffirmed that, yep, you still owe us this money. You still violated these things. And it was largely around the phone, defaults on browsers, defaults on other things. They were anti-competitive behaviors and from a market dominance point of view. And meanwhile, we've also got the U.S. passing a youth online safety legislation. I've talked before about it. If you want to tie something from a legislation point of view, you for the children. Is one of the most common ways to be able to actually get something done, because how can you argue with this? But the regulation around that and how it's actually going to get regulated is going to be important. So the fact that it's passed now is good. But now how it gets enacted, what does it really mean? What controls are put in place? How are those things checked? I think there's going to be some unforeseen consequences of this particular set of actions. Argentina, I said this in the intro bit there, where they're now of the opinion that maybe AI still needs people. You need to at least have a legal framework that says that a human has to be responsible for the decisions of the AI. And the whole idea is that hey, we can't have a abstraction of responsibility and wiping your hands of responsibility just because an AI made the AI did it. Don't blame me. This is not going to be something that you can do hopefully anywhere, but it does continue to point to the fact that if you can't get legislation here the way that you would like it, look for some legislation someplace else. I mean, there's a reason why many different corporations are incorporated in the same state. How that state, how you get treated from as a corporation matters. I think every company knows this. So this is not something that I think we have seen the end of or heard the end of. AI as operating capital. So as it starts to go forward, we're going to see more and more startups that are AI founded. AI for the work that I do, I use AI in the middle of many different things. It helps me with tasks. It helps me with write-ups. It helps me with drafts. I use a combination of local and large models and all of those types of things. And I am not alone. There are many people who are doing this. This one particular article here about a small business, and this is interesting because this founder, Michelle Turner, she is not a technologist. I am a nerd, so nobody should be surprised here, but she is a parent and a foster parent, and she spotted a need and she used AI to actually build the pitch deck. She used AI to be able to build out the company, to build the capabilities. She used AI to foundationally build the company and as a key asset within the delivery of services within this company. And she got funding. She was able to bring these pieces forward. She now has 16 people inside of this company, and they're all about helping children in foster care. And so I think we're going to see more entrepreneurship like this. AI is a great equalizer in this particular regard, and I think we're going to see some acceleration inside of that. So along that same thing, this is where the traditional measures of unemployment may no longer be sufficient to be able to measure where we are. Is AI affecting jobs, and what is the effect on those different jobs? So when you look at some of this, we actually are still seeing entry level jobs just not being there, right? So it's not that they're going away. It's not that they're cutting entry level people. It is simply just that they're not hiring as many. At the same time, it's hard to say that's AI. That's partly because companies are being conservative. They don't know what they need to do, so they're just not hiring. And when they do hire, they're hiring for a higher level in a specific need or in a specific niche. At the same time, we're seeing some of the measures that go around there. If we don't have those junior level employees growing up and learning about the different things, AI has shown over and over again that the more context you have, the more capability you have in a particular discipline, the more capable you are in being able to use AI and be able to give it the right measures so that it can even self-improve and be able to do those tasks better. And so I think we're going to continue to see some juggling here. It's hard to say, yep, AI is the reason for these job losses or a new job not coming to case. And we are very much going to see new types of jobs actually come in from a career point of view. Meanwhile, we're also seeing companies juggle things around in an attempt to be able to control more of their own universe. From Meta, who is now talking about selling excess capacity if they're not using it for training, if they're not using it for serving, they want to be able to help to serve others. Hardware, if you have hardware is a physical, durable good, and the ability to have that and have assets around that is still something which is valuable and is going to continue to be valuable. So no surprises there. We're also seeing companies like Base 44, where they've launched their own model that actually is around coding with natural language and natural language as an application development thing. With their own proprietary piece, because they're trying to be able to control that ecosystem and control that interface with their customers. This is not unique to them. I think many companies are going to have to go through this. They're going to figure out what can we do, what differentiates us, what things can we control, what things do we need to be able to use some of the bigger models where we really need to be able to use that planning or use that different aspect and not give those things away. And the big models, in fairness, we have seen them consume different features. And while they say, well, we're not interested in all the different things, it's really difficult and it's a floating and moving thing. As the models become more capable, they're going to do more. The one of the running jokes in San Francisco is what business or what sector did Anthropic kill this week? Because they were doing that on a regular basis, where they were doing things, and you see the ramifications in the stock market. All right, intelligence in the physical world, continuing to see where more things really are manifest into AI in the world taking things. So another new startup They're not that new, but they've been around for a little bit, but challenging the likes of Tesla and Waymo, autonomous driving, and all the way from take existing cars and turn them into self-driving by adding a few different capabilities and features. We're going to see more of this. I think autonomous vehicles are going to continue to be the future. And I see a future where you'll have to pay. Right now, you pay a premium for, in some cases, for insurance when you are buying one of those self-driving cars because they don't know how to gauge the risk. In the future, you'll have to pay a premium if you want to drive yourself, for sure. I think that is a foregone conclusion, despite what we may want generationally to be able to drive our own damn cars. Um, so then we go to China, and China has been leading in robotics for some time. They are continuing to push, and they are putting the pedal down. So they are doing a funding for $619 million as an IPO for a part of a company raise of like $4.2 billion to be able to invest in the ability to do automation, to do building, to build robots. They build robots that are both bipedal and quadrupedal, so four and two legs as they go through. And they're one of the big leaders in AI. I think this is one of the other races to not look away from and not sleep on. It's going to continue in the robotic space. Who starts to get closer and closer to the front line. And then science is also advancing with the exciting thing. I think the Claude science is an exciting thing where it's helping not just with research or ask a question, get an answer, but it's really with long running tasks. So computationally intensive, data analysis intensive, coding, all of the things along those lines, being able to run for days and weeks and longer to be able to do the research that's necessary to be able to get the response and find the scientific discovery. I think this is one of many framings that you'll see. I again believe it's the harness that's going to make the difference, not necessarily just the model. Anthropic's got top-notch models, of course, but the ability to have the harness take the right things, build the ecosystem around the prompts, and be able to run that stuff from an agentic point of view is where the future success is going to lie. And then AI predicting who will benefit from immunotherapy. This is both a really exciting and positive thing. It could also potentially be a little bit. There could be a dark side to this one, unintended consequences. But from a positive point of view, if you know someone who has ever undergone cancer treatments, it is really, really hard. It is hard for everyone around them. It is hard for the individual. So knowing that you have a better chance of success and that, hey, this is worth it. My outcomes are going to be good and going to be positive. Very big benefit there. You can cut down on some of the unnecessary treatments. You can cut down on unnecessary side effects and those types of things. Now, the shade side of this, or the potential secondary negative effect, could potentially be that, hey, from an insurance point of view, well, you aren't showing in the positive side, so we're not even going to try. So again, you gotta watch these things carefully as they go through. But this is one where there's more validation required, but it's a very promising sort of thing. And I think the beginning, this is a door that's starting to open. The more that we understand around people's DNA chains, the more we will be able to understand around what's going to be successful, what's going to be successful for that person. And that's the part that's exciting. Average privacy, this one. So when when I was doing more system stability and uptime things, I used to, one of my regular things, I think actually I might have a blog that's out there somewhere still, let me say this, but average is not good enough. And that when you're talking about things like this, average privacy in this particular, what this article is about and covering is, it may actually not be good enough at an individual level, because if you're looking at things in aggregate and you say, okay, yep, it's good, the privacy level is okay, but the more rare a condition is, this has been known in medical circles for a long time. You've got to be able to take that stuff out. So, if you're in the middle of nowhere, and you had a hysterectomy and there's only one very old woman out there, or someone who would be of age where that would be appropriate, then you have to denormalize some of those things. You got to move them around. There's got to be other ways to be able to pull that together. You can't use averages to be able to make that stuff normal. You have to be able to take the spikes and level them out. This becomes even more important when you're talking about AI and AI insights and capabilities. So again, while we're getting more and more personalized on the DNA chain and the, hey, will this work for you? We also have to be very sensitive to the, how are we treating this and how are we treating this as an individual? And so that's why these two make a good pair. A This one is exciting just from an approvals and coming to market point of view. So the FDA approved the Orca T. It is basically a for certain blood cancers. So we're actually seeing some of these things come to market. It's actually going to be able to help with survival and serious chronic issues. And so from a therapy point of view and a standardized capability point of view, this it's exciting to see some of these things actually starting to hit prime time and medicine actually moving more towards designing living ecosystem type things for you as part of this the cells that go through there. This is not just like here's a drug, take this thing. It's actually utilizing the your own immunity system to be able to upscale that immunity system to be able to fight some of the things that historically your body has not been able to fight. And then from a market policy and a capital by itself, AI, this is we're seeing wave after wave of change, but we're actually starting to see the policy starting to firm up. We're starting to see some of the capital pieces underneath. We're starting to see people care about dependability and where do I get my intelligence from and what parts of that intelligence do I own. So while it feels weird, and if you're in the middle of it, it definitely feels like it's a blur. It is it's exciting to see. This is one of those places where we are going through that acceptance curve much faster, I think, on this set of technologies than in many other different ones. It's part of the reason why it feels like you can't keep your hair straight to be able to go because it's going so fast. But it's also exciting to start to see some of these things solidify. Hopefully this has been useful. If so, drop a thumbs up. I'd love your feedback on what you like the most out of these and what you would like to see more of. Anything that you'd like to see less of. I value that feedback too. So do please feel free to throw those things in the comment. I do read them all. I will try to do my best to respond to every single one. It's very valuable. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.